Hey everyone, it's Ivan, KitBadger.com, out here for our first look at something new from Vortex, as well as, in a roundabout way, mile-high shooting. We'll go ahead and start with this guy right here from Vortex. Fairly certain I know what this is. Occasionally I get surprised, so we will see together. It's what I thought, pretty sure. Razor HD Gen 3 6-36 with the IMRAD reticle. I'm super stoked on this guy. This is going to be amazing. All right, I'll move the camera so you can check this out. What's in the box? It's a picture of a scope. Just kidding. Bam. It is a scope. This thing is really cool. We got caps on here, which hopefully are better than most caps. Man, for whatever reason, it seems like companies have a hard time with scope caps. These should hopefully be pretty good. I think, yeah, we got a sunshade in here. What else we got? Throw lever, looks like some tools for adjusting it, and I guess a lens cloth. Oh, I should probably pick that up. But yeah, this thing is going to be amazing, which I guess begs the question of, there we go, what are we gonna put this thing on? Of course, don't wanna put this optic on some Bush League rifle, so what do we got inside the case? Bam. This guy right here. Brand new, unfired, Accuracy International. Super excited about this, which, quick backstory on Accuracy International, or at least my awareness of them. Back in Afghanistan, late 2001, like pretty much right after all that stuff kicked off. I want to say December. I was still in the Marine Corps, young Sergeant Loomis with Bravo 11, and we were down at Camp Rhino, which, if you're unfamiliar with how that whole thing kicked off, we initially had Camp Rhino, which was super crazy austere dirt runway airfield in the middle of the desert. And from there, we ended up taking units going up north from there, took Kandahar, then we kept Kandahar forever until a huge debacle of a withdrawal. At any rate, though, that was kind of our first toehold in Afghanistan. While there, every unit that was working in Afghanistan largely came through there. So one of those units when I was there, again, December 2001, was Australian SAS. And like any good professional unit, basically test fire all your guns before in doubt on take off on whatever mission they had. And so Carl Gustav, all their belt feds, all their individual weapons, and their sniper there had a Accuracy International. Pretty sure my saw gunner, Curtis, ended up actually getting to shoot the thing, which is pretty cool. And if you're unfamiliar, did a whole series, float tape series. Back in the day, I had a Sony Handycam on that deployment. All those videos are up if you want to go check them out. But that was my first ever, like, actually seen a Accuracy International. Fast forward, never shot one, anything like that, I don't think, or maybe I shot at Buddies a long time ago. But at any rate, I now have this. How did I get it? I traded it. Where did this gun come from? Well, mile-high shooting. So if you're unfamiliar with mile-high shooting, they have super high-end everything revolving around shooting. And one of the things they have is Accuracy Internationals. Because if you go on AI's website, it's like, hey, we offer this in 308 and 6.5 Creedmoor. Or this guy right here, which is actually AI barrel in 6mm Creedmoor, which is really cool. And then on top of that, they have all kinds of different, other than factory, like Cerakote colors, things like that. This one obviously being black. But I have this, and now I need to get this optic mounted. Also, I obviously did not trade Mile High shooting for that rifle. So someone ended up buying that rifle, and my guess is to save their marriage, they ended up selling it unfired. And then the person who had that ended up, again, still unfired, decided maybe it wasn't what they wanted. And so I ended up trading a bunch of things to that other person in order to end up with that AI. So how are we going to mount that? Well, probably with allegedly like one of the strongest mounts ever. Also, you can find it Mile High, which is a SPUHR mount. So 20 MOA, 34 millimeter rings. Let's get this thing going. I'm going to go ahead and get this thing mounted on here. One thing that I cannot emphasize enough that is super important is actually good tools. And so PB Swiss, they're amazing. One, they're bits, and two, this guy right here, which is, ooh, don't want to lose that, bam, torque meter. Of course, this one happens to be in Newton meters, I believe, which is fine. You just got to figure out what the conversion is for inch pounds. So I'm going to get this base torqued on here and go from there. Got this thing on 5 Newton meters. Also worth mentioning is these are actually numbered, which is really handy. 1, 2, 3, 4 with respect to, I guess I can just hand tighten them first, with respect to how you actually get these tightened. All right, we got this guy on here. Now we need to get, obviously, the scope on here. And SPUHR does something really cool with basically, essentially auto leveling your scope. So we'll do that. Gonna go ahead and get this thing in here and get everything just hand tight before I actually check eye relief and then get this thing all leveled. Kind of right in there. Now, show you something pretty cool they came up with to basically level the scope. So this is pretty cool, but joke's on me because it doesn't work with this optic. Basically because of how this sits below the bottom of the optic here, this makes contact before the bottom of the optic, which there's basically, I guess it'd be like that maybe. There's basically a notch cut, so when this slides in, this immediately self-levels off the bottom of the optic. Really cool, unless you have a giant knob like that. So you're gonna have to do it the old-fashioned way with a bubble level. I went through, got everything hand tight, made sure it's level. My eye relief is still good, so now just need to crank my Newton meters down and get this guy torqued. And one last thing, why not put a diving board on here? Something nice about SPUHR is, man, they give you a couple extra screws just in case. Also, something cool with Vortex, hence the diving board, is they actually make their Impact 4000, I believe it is. It's really cool. It is a ballistic, well, a rangefinder with a ballistic calculator built in. So it allows you to basically use your glass as like the glass of the rangefinder and yeah, immediately get a firing solution. So get this guy on here and time to go zero this. And lastly, real quick, while this SPUHR mount actually has a bubble level built into the mount, which is really cool, depending on shooting position, stuff like that, visibility, You can mount all kinds of things to these mounts, to include this bubble level right here. So get this guy on here and then go do some shooting. Oh yeah, and one last thing before I go zero this is why shoot unsuppressed when you can shoot suppressed? So right here, this doesn't blow away, have the new Speakeasy from Q. It's one of their steel cans, basically a steel version of their Thunder Chicken, kind of their biggest volume can. Is it gonna live on here? No, I actually have something pretty neat coming, which I will end up mounting on here, but today I'm gonna go ahead and use this. What about all the velocities I get? Well, the velocities are gonna be with this setup. I'm also not gonna rock set it, which they actually changed their cherry bomb, so there's flats on here. So if for whatever, I should probably pick that up. If for whatever reason this comes off with the can, it's not a big deal. I can end up getting that thing off. But get this thing on here decently good. All right, and then yeah. Put this can on here. Not a small gun, especially with this guy. But I definitely love shooting suppressed. All right, now gonna go zero this thing. Just did my best to get this thing bore-sighted. Hopefully we should be on paper. Right here is some Hornady, their ELD match, 108 grain. So give it a go. It's in the first round. All right, I'm on paper. 29.43, I need to come down 2 mils. So I'm still in the adjustment phase of the scope. I came down exactly 2 mils. Now, and so if that broke clean, which it felt like it did, I need to come right 0.3 mils. And now I'm gonna go ahead and just shoot 3 more rounds and see what kind of group I can get now. I think I pulled that last one, but yeah, really, man, this thing shoots. All right, so ended up bore sighting it. This is my point of aim. First round was there, measured in my optic, 2 mils high, brought it down 2 mils. Second shot was right there, came over 0.3, and then I shot those 2, and that last one, that was kind of me. I need to adjust that more, but yeah, this thing gun shoots. After looking at my target, I'm gonna go ahead and come left about 0.1 mils. And this time I'm gonna go ahead and shoot a 5-shot group and see what I get. This target over here was clean, and I found it easier to kind of basically refine my sight picture on one of these rather than just that black square. So I ended up shooting these 5, not my best work. I will say that one right there was hands down like the cleanest trigger press there. So honestly, it's not terrible, but I'm gonna go ahead and shoot another group before I go do more shooting at distance. Looking at that group, I'm gonna go ahead and come up about 1/10 of a mil. Two of those did not break super clean, but I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this down now. Pretty pleased with that for a working 0. So this is my second group. That one, I definitely shanked that. That was not as clean. So that right there is what I'm working with. I'm gonna roll with that for right now. First 15 shots, minimum 29.43, max 30.18, standard deviation 21.4, my average being 29.90. So this will of course end up speeding up after, I don't know, 100 or so rounds, but that's what I'm starting with. So time to go actually do some fun shooting at distance. All right, so there I was, got everything set up, got obviously the gun out there, got this camera, got a second camera so I can actually get trace. I'm like, man, how far do I want to reach this thing out, try and get a first round hit. Got all my data put into my range finding binos, set. And then what happened, Ivan? Well, then what happened is I looked through and I'm like, man, why is this so blurry? And kept going back and forth, back and forth. Parallax is broken, like broken. It was fine at 100. So I guess fixed parallax at 100 in the 6 to 36. Just kidding. It's definitely broken. But sanity check myself, there were a couple like PRS shooters over there. I'm like, hey, do me a favor and just look through here. Aim at one of those targets over there for me. And the guy's like, okay, let me adjust my eyes. So adjusted ocular. And he's like, oh, your parallax is broken. I'm like, okay, cool. Just double checking. Man, good dry run of mounting and leveling the scope on this gun in the SPUHR mount. Because fortunately, Vortex actually has a really good return policy and they will take care of it. But in the meantime, I gotta wait for it to get repaired and then go through the process of mounting and zeroing this scope again. So that right there is the first look, because that happened, but to be continued. And as always, thanks for joining us at kitbadger.com. Look forward to seeing you next time.